Good evening. It is Monday. That means it must be time for ModCons. It must do. It must mean it's time. This evening, the usual reprobates join us. It is Mr. Triangle Face Tim.
Hello.
And Mr. Blunners.
Hello, everyone.
And how are we doing, good sirs? Are we all good?
Yeah, very
All
good.
good. Yeah.
Excellent. The British summer weather has finally arrived. It appears to be sunny and warm. Who knew? We only had to wait until 7th of August to get it, but never mind. Excellent. So, welcome everyone in the chat. You are most welcome here on this fine Monday evening, or as Phantom Fiction is in the afternoon. So we have got Mr. Taylor. We have got Mag in the chat. We have got Rager in the chat. Mr. Rager, how are you, sir? I genuinely hope your move went well. We've got Mr. Dorber. Hello, Dorbs. Also hoping that his move went well. Phantom Fiction, wonderful to see you, good sir. Gold Tooth is here. We have got a lot of cool people in the chat there, so thank you so much for tuning in live. So we have got a variety of topics to get through this evening, so we shall get crack-a-lack-a-lackin'. As always, though, if people have questions or things to do with anything that we've got going on, please do chuck them in the chat. We will get to them at the end. So to boot us all off, as we normally will do, we will run with, what are you playing? So let's start with Mr. Tim. Good sir, what are you playing?
Am I playing? So I have just finished playing through Spider-Man Miles Morales. So I just got to the end of that. I wanted to make sure I finished that before the next one comes out. And yeah, it was an excellent game. Really, really happy with it. I think I did everything 100%ed it. So I think I did all. I don't know if I got all the achievements and trophies, but I did all of the side quests and all the little bonus bits. And there's like an extra little bit you can do after the end of the game. There's New Game Plus and other stuff, but I feel like I've done enough of the game now. I'm happy to sort of put that chapter of it all to a close. And now I'm ready for Spider-Man 2 in October, I think. Is that when it's coming out? So yeah, so ready for 2 in October. I'm looking forward to it. There's some really good bits in both those games. I hope that 2 offers enough like new things, but I think the lot that worked really well in the first game, the Miles Morales game, needs to stay. Like I think they need to make sure they change the right things and just add improvements rather than sort of just change for the sake of change. See what they do with it. But yeah, the story-driven stuff is excellent. Like I'm all on board for like the Venom story now and things like that.
Yep.
Like Venom was always my favorite story in like the comics and the cartoon and stuff. I wouldn't say like Venom's my favorite character, but the Venom story arc was always really cool. I really liked how it went from like being on Spider-Man and him having to get rid of it and then going to an enemy. And I think they're going to change up who Venom is and all that sort of stuff. But the concept of the character is still going to be there, I think. So. Yeah, looking forward to that. So I'm going to be starting something new. So I've been having like in my library trying to pick something else out. I'm actually trying to wrap up Alwa's Awakening on the Evercade.
Yep.
Very, very close to the end. I got really stuck, and we're in the admin chat, and I said to Ryan because he's finished it. It's like I'm just really stuck at what I'm doing. And so you need to fall through some spikes, and some of the areas with their spikes you can actually fall through them, and it's like a trick. Now I've seen that I've managed to get a bit further now, so I think I'm really close to the end. So I'm going to try and persevere and finish that before I start anything new. But I was looking at my PlayStation library and I've got a whole bunch of really good games, like stuff I've got from my PlayStation Plus freebies and stuff that I've not touched. So I've got a huge backlog of games. So I thought I would have a browse. Tempted by Alan Wake Remastered because that was free last month, I think.
Dude.
I'm like, yeah, I do like my survival horror and I've never played it. So I might delve into that as my next one.
It's really, really good. Really, really good. They've done a great job remastering it to the point where it still looks like a 360 game, but it sort of doesn't. In fact, it probably looks more like a PS4 game now. The re-skinning of it they did was really, really excellent without remaking it, and it plays so much slicker as well. Not that it didn't play slick on the 360, but you go back and play some of those older 360 games now. And then you play something similar on a PS4 or a PS5, and just the gameplay is just so much smoother now. Well, see loads of love for Alan Wake in the chat there, Mag and Rager. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
The other thing I've been doing quite a bit of lately is Antstream Arcade because that came to the Xbox. And I picked that up So I've been playing that, and they added MDK, so I've been playing a bit of MDK as well.
Nice.
The nice thing about Antstream Arcade, because it's on the Xbox, it is you can do save states and everything. It's very good just to pick up and play and do a little bit and then save it and then move on. So if I've got like a small window where I can play something, like sometimes I'll play for a little bit while I'm waiting for dinner to cook or something like that, because I'm not going to sit down and play for hours. Antstream Arcade is really good for that little quick game when you've got small windows. So yeah, MDK is my Antstream game at the moment.
Splendid. You got loads on the go, Tim. Loads on the go.
Got the Amiga Mini as well. So got loads of stuff. Got to start playing that. So yeah, too many games ongoing at once. I need to pick a campaign and stick with it. So perhaps Alan Wake.
Go with Alan Wake. I'd highly go with that. Although, just before we delve into what Blunners is in, unpopular opinion, Alan Wake is. I really don't like him as a dude. I think he's a bellend. He's an absolutely dislikable bellend. But the game and the story and him being a bit of a bellend, it kind of works. But yeah, he's just a bit of a dick, if I'm honest. But great game, 100% great game. Mr. Blunners, what have you been playing, good sir?
Well, I've just pretty much finished Pikmin 4, but there's just one. I'm just at a minute. There's like this bit right at the end. It's like New Game Plus kind of bit, but it's kind of like you're having to be like you're in a time limit, and you're having to collect and get everything back in, and you're then having to try and micromanage and like get people to certain areas. And I was doing my head in. It took me an hour. So there's 10 levels of these last bits, and I'm on the 4th, and yeah, it's ridiculously hard. But yeah, so I played all through the main campaign. It was quite good because then right at the end, it then takes you to the guy that you've been saving. You then can do his story. So you then can then go through as him, completely different, and you have like 15 days. So it's like 15 goes each day to like collect and find all these spaceship parts. So you're then going back through as him. So that was quite nice because I thought, about 20 hours. I thought, I've done it, and then all of a sudden, bang! So there's another 10, 15 hours they've just chucked back on top of you. And then this last one was even harder. So no, that's quite that was quite good. And I'm also still playing Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just going down into the depths and doing everything that's in the depths areas, which is basically the same as your map that you've got above you but underground. And I'm gonna do all that before I then go and take on Ganon in the main. So I'm just still trying to get all my hearts up, getting the gear all fairied up, so I'm not a complete weed when I go and take on Ganon. But I do know that there's two types. There's a Ganon down in the depths, and there's also obviously the main boss at the end. But yeah, so they're the ones I'm playing at the minute. But Tears of the King, and then I've got God of War Ragnarok as well. I'm still trying to finish off as well. But that's my next game that I'll start playing. I think. But yeah, all lined up, ready to play.
Exciting times in the Blunners household as well, man. I have been still on Final Fantasy 16. Not much has changed since our last ModCons, if I'm honest. I think I am where am I at? I think I'm at 65, 68 hours now. So I'm not a million miles further forward than where I was in the first hit. Still enjoying it. Still kind of cool. Like I say, I'm on a real medieval kick right now. So that is absolutely ticking a box. I still think it looks fantastic. It's not my favorite battle system. I think by about the 60-hour mark, I'm kind of a little bit fed up with this battle system. But the story is really top tier. So that's kind of what's keeping me going with it. And I love the switch up from summons to being able to actually transform into the summon at certain points in battles and that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. I've managed to play quite a lot of Sonic Origins Plus now as well. I don't know if I had in the last one. I think I definitely had it in the last one. But I've managed to do Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, and I'm partway through Sonic CD, which is a first proper play for me because I never had a Mega CD. I think it's on the Sonic Gems collection, possibly on the PS2, but again, not something I ever really got to. So to be able to play Sonic CD is great. It's very... I can't see why it needed to be on a disc unless there's something mega that sort of changes itself. It feels like Sonic 3 to me.
as somebody that has got pretty much all the Sonic games, I've got like multiple iterations of them. So I've got the original Mega Drive cartridges. I too didn't have a Mega CD, but I've got Sonic CD on other formats. Like there's compilations and then emulators as well. Is it worth it to get Sonic collection now if I've already got all the other ones? Is there much reason to get it if I've got multiple versions of it and I played through it multiple times?
There's some cool modes on this Sonic Origins Plus. Maybe when we get Tess on, I think Tess is going to be on in a couple of weeks' time. She is mad into Sonic, and she's really good at Sonic as well. So I watch a lot of her stuff that she puts on YouTube, where she does like boss mode and boss rush battles and stuff, where you can kind of play through all the bosses in the games, all the games.
Okay, that sounds cool. Yeah, so it does offer a few things different if you're a returning fan. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, I kind of overlooked it because I was like, well, I've already played through all those games multiple times, like especially Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That's one of my favorite Mega Drive games. And I've played through it loads of different ways. So I did always like getting like the hyper animals, so you can get like Super Sonic, but you can also get like Super Tails and Super Knuckles.
Yeah. On
the combined one. So that was always like, getting every single Chaos Emerald and stuff. And I feel like I might have played them to death a bit. So I'm not sure if it was worth looking into it. But yeah, no, piqued my interest there with like boss rushes and stuff.
I think it's worth it. I think it's kind of worth it. Yes, Ian, I did. I've been really slack at replying to lots of people. I'm so sorry, dude. It's been a very odd couple of weeks for me. I'll message you about it all. Not sure how I feel about that movie, by the way. Exorcist Believer, that is. Also seeing just the first tangent of the evening. Jesus wept. Seeing the news that William Friedkin had died. Like that's genuinely upset me. That has. He was the director of The Exorcist, and he's directed a whole bunch of other really good movies. Won an Oscar for French Connection. Really sad. Really sad. Let's transition from the sadness though, because otherwise I'll get a bit too emotional over that, and then me and Ian will just go off on a love affair for The Exorcist as well in the chat. So, I would recommend it if you've got your PS5, haven't you? So pick it up for that. You can pick it up for Switch if you want it portable as well.
Not a bad shot.
There's some really cool cutscenes that they've added that are like anime style, so it kind of strings Sonic 1, 2, Sonic and Knuckles, all this kind of strings it together with like a little animation story as well, which is really sweet. It's a great package. It's really good. What else have I been playing? I've been giving the 3DS a little bit of love. I managed to get a really good deal on Marketplace for this particular game, which I have on the DS, but really wanted to get the 3DS one because it's got an extra game on it, and that is Mario and Luigi Bowser Inside Story, and then the Bowser Junior's Journey, which I've not played.
Well, I absolutely love it.
I've not played Junior Journey, but I have done Bowser Inside Story, so I'm doing that again first because I really like that. I love the little intuitive controls of controlling Mario and Luigi, and it's great. It's really, really cool. It looks great on the 3DS as well.
Funny,
if you haven't played it, if you get a chance, and if you're doing a bit of a DS kick, see if you can get hold of The World Ends With You. That is my favourite DS game.
You have said this before.
It's a very good story, really good like fighting system, and like it's got a really good soundtrack as well. There's just lots to love about that game. It's really good. That definitely was my favourite DS game. I've done a couple of playthroughs. So if you ever get a copy of that, I highly recommend it.
I shall have a look.
You have like during the battles, you'll have like your stylus and the touchscreen at the bottom, and on the top screen you can control the buttons, and you can leave it so it automatically plays. But if you can kind of try and concentrate on two screens at once and battle at the same time, you can build up like synchronization and then do like special moves and things. And it's just a fun game. It's got a good little leveling up system using badges and stuff. It's
excellent.
Quite a fun game.
Mr. Blunners, you were going to jump in on Mario Luigi there.
No, I was just saying, I love them games. We got the other ones as well. Superstar Saga, Bowser Story.
I don't have Superstar Saga. I don't have the Dream Team either.
And Dream Team, they're just really well written as well. They're quite funny, the little like quips at them. But it's just getting the timing right and then knowing what weapons and what to use, and
it's cool. It's good fun.
Commando dogs don't like it because it is turn based.
I would say that for World Ends With You, it's not turn based because it is. You have to do stuff with the stylus and tap screen stuff. But the battles are random encounters. You'll be walking around and it'll suddenly go. Actually, no, it's not. Technically, it's not. There's like you do a scan and the screen will fill up and you have to like tap the enemies you want to fight. So you choose to go into the battles. So it's not. So actually, it might not put off dogs. Who knows? He might actually like
have
that
to
one.
see. I'm determined to find a turn-based game that Dorbs is going to like. I personally think he would like South Park: Stick of Truth. I
Possibly.
genuinely believe he doesn't
Yes.
like
Comedy
RPGs
one.
with turn. It's so good, and I genuinely think Dorbs would appreciate the humor that they put into the turn-based battle system. So, if you want to see Dorbs play Stick of Truth, let us know. We'll see if we can put together a little series of Dorbs playing a turn-based RPG style game, but a South Park one. See how he gets on with it.
I'm just thinking actually the other thing that might put off Dorbs from World Ends Review. There's not a lot of cutscenes. There's a lot of dialogue, which I think you can class as a cutscene. So when the characters start talking, there's quite a lot of back and forth, and so he'll probably just skip through everything and not have any clue what's going on. One of the things I like about the game is it's quite story driven. So
Yeah,
I think Dorbs like to get straight into the action and not worry about any cutscenes. So don't know. Does it pass the Dorbs test? I don't know.
The Dorbs test. That's going to be a new feature. The new feature will be the Dorbs test. Does it have
Dorbs test?
Does it have how many Dorbs? Out of 5.
Yeah.
How many Dorbs?
Has it got skippable cutscenes? Is there no random encounters? No turn-based combat?
How many Dorbs?
That's 5 Dorbs.
I give it 1 Dorbs, 2 Dorbs. Oh, mate, Dorbs, I hope you're up for this, mate, because this is going to become a thing. 100% going to become a thing. Okie dokie. So let's go to the first topic of this evening, and that is Sony have announced the current PlayStation 5 sales. Now, I must admit, I was a little bit shocked at this. I thought it was going to be a lot less for some reason. I don't know why I thought it'd be less. Maybe because it's this whole, people still kind of go on about the fact that the pandemic is hindering things, but life is starting to catch up now quite quickly. So I think as of when we're chatting now, the PS5 has sold 40 million consoles. And from what I could find online, around this sort of time, with the PS4's life cycle, the PS4 was only 2 million ahead of it. And I think that's pretty good going, considering that you couldn't get them for love nor money when they came out. Maybe even for like a good year, possibly even 18 months after they came out.
Yeah.
It was so hard to get hold of them. Do you remember those days when CEX were charging like £700 for a PS5 and, some silly buggers were paying it. So, for them to be shifting, 40 million units, I think that's pretty good going. I
think really they could have done more than that if they'd managed to sort of get more out, because clearly the demand was there if they're selling secondhand for 700. They just weren't touching the shelves.
They would have done a lot more.
They could have. Yeah, there was definitely interest.
Without COVID hitting, I think they would have done brilliant. There's also a bit of rumours about, is it next year, that they might bring out the PS5 Pro. They're going to be smaller, bigger, but I've heard there's rumours in the grapevine about a PS5 Pro at some point, which for me, I think that's a bit too early still. It obviously, you would like to see a slimmed down version, really, of the one we've got at the minute. But...
the behemoth that is the PS5, the monolith that stands in the corner.
I've only fairly recently picked up my PS5, and I am loving it. It's really good. I still just don't like how it looks. Why can't it just be a black box? Like the design of like all the other PlayStations have been fine, but it's a weird shape. I just can't get behind it. It just looks weird. I don't know why they designed it. What they were going for. Like, couldn't it just be like a box that looks like a DVD player? That's all. What I kind of want it to look like. Just looks a bit odd.
I mean, yeah, it is a bit squiffy. I'm just looking at sales for Xbox Series X, Series S, and let's have a look. I can't see anything that is the most up to date. 2 days ago, apparently.
I reckon.
Go on and hit us, Blanners. What's your guess?
Oh, I think I've lost Blanners.
Blanners, what's your guess?
Oh, no. Is it
15 mil? I'm back.
15 mil. Okay.
About 15.
That was conservative.
Sorry, my internet's playing out.
That's all good, buddy. Conservative. I think from this, and someone in the chat tell me if I'm wrong, the Series X / Series S have sold 22.3 million units. And that does shock me. I thought they would have sold more. I don't know why. No idea why. I just, for some reason, thought they might have sold more because you could get Xboxes, and they've got 2 versions as well. They've got 2 versions out. You've got your not
but
the.
is that both versions or is that just the one?
I'm presuming it's both versions. Mag will probably know. He's pretty good with the Xbox knowledge. So Mag, if you know, can you tell us if that is Series X and S? Because if it
Like you said, they're
is,
split between 2 consoles, aren't they?
Yeah, which one is which again? So is X the one that looks like a mini fridge, and S
Yes.
is like the one that looks like a speaker.
correct.
So I think I'd quite like to get if I got one, I think I'd prefer to pay the extra and get the X, just because
the
it
X
can
is
take
lovely.
any CD, right? It can take Xbox Original, Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Yeah.
It plays anything, doesn't it? So
It
I think
does.
it'd be great because you can get
Yeah, I've got
360
one.
games pretty cheap in some places. Well, I'd love to just go back for a back catalogue and picking up loads of cheap Xbox 360 games. It's kind of ironic to spend like 450 quid on a console to play cheap, £1 games, but it is convenient to just be able to play all of them on one system. I'd like that.
It's the thing that I find odd with the idea that they haven't sold as many as a PS5 is purely because the PS5 has a price point, and that price point is high, and you can play PS4 games on it, but you can't play PS3, PS2, PS1. It's got pretty much no real backwards compatibility. Yet the Series X, like you just said, Tim, that plays 360 games, and it will play a huge library of the Xbox original games. And if you've got a 4K TV and you want your old Xbox games to play on original hardware, as original as you can get it, all right? So your Xbox Series X, I'd imagine, is upscaling the shit out of it. But if you really wanted to play it on an Xbox, yeah, exactly. It downloads a little patch. You can put it on. You could stream with it. Like, I would have thought the Series X would have been the console that everybody just bent over for, because it sounds amazing. Do I own one? No, but we've had this discussion a few times. I really do want one. There's a whole bunch of games that are going to potentially push me into the idea of getting one. And I didn't realize quite how much backwards compatibility was important to me until I saw the Series X do it. And then I thought, do you know what? I really am bummed that the PS5 doesn't play PS3 games and PS2 games, because that would just be, that would have been top tier fan service. But yeah, that's a really good point that Mag says that Xbox doesn't sell well in Japan,
which it doesn't. But it is a really good. It was harder for me to get a Xbox day one than what it was to get a PS5. I had 3 turn up PS5s because I just pre-ordered them 3 different places, but yet I barely got my one Xbox, barely got it, and it was lucky that it turned up. But I really like it. It's a really good bit of kit. Really, it's just only thing that lets it down is when you hold a PS5 controller and then you hold an Xbox controller. I still like the feel of an Xbox controller, but you do feel that compared to the PS5 one, that's something they've got to keep an eye on what their competitors are doing and thinking, right, shit, what can we do?
Yeah, that PS5. Yeah, Max even says, yeah, the PS5 controller is outstanding. It is absolutely outstanding. Getting that little Astro game free with your Xbox to just sort of demo what that controller can do, and you are like, yeah, this isn't, well, it is a controller, of course it is, but it's a bit M&S now, isn't it? It's like, this isn't just a games controller. This it's simple things like the resistance in the triggers. I know that it doesn't pull you into the game like they sell it. Like, you could, when you pull the bow in Horizon, you'll feel the tension of the bow. It's like, no, you don't. It's just resisting you a little bit. But it's little things like that make it really cool. Does it make you feel that you're there? No, of course not. But it just adds an extra level of something to the game, which is really quite cool. But yeah, I was quite shocked with those PS5 sales. 40 million consoles. That's pretty good. Is it going to catch up to the PS2, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Blunners, 158 million units worldwide? It's not going to catch up to that, is it? It's just
No,
It's impossible.
that's quite some going on.
I think that 158 million PS2 era is that's just never going to happen again. I really don't think. And again, Blunners, I think you gave me this figure earlier, so correct me if I'm wrong. The DS came close with 154 million.
Yeah,
and that is a good go. That's a good run. That's 4 million off. If Nintendo had just thought about it, they could have pipped that maybe.
yeah, but that is made up of like how many different DSs is there? Do you know what I mean? I think I've got. Whereas the I think the PS2 there was just a slim. And
in the original.
The original.
Intriguing,
but
though.
As I said, it was close.
Yeah, close but no cigar. Yeah. Not that I'm going to go on another tangent, but I'll tell you after. I actually found the meaning of that phrase the other day. It was genuinely funny. Okie dokie. So yes, PS5 sales. That was our first topic. So let's jump into topic numero 2, and that is the always rumored new Nintendo Switch of some sort. So for ages, people have been saying, "Oh, Nintendo going to bring out a 4K Switch. It's going to do this. It's going to do that." And then we got the 4K. We got the Switch OLED, which is still pretty cool. Still great if you play your Switch handheld. It is the one to go for, I would say. I know Blunners, you sold your old OG Switch to upgrade to the OLED one. But we're now hearing through the internet rumors that Nintendo are going to be launching their brand new console next year. So am I right in thinking that's late 2024? That's the sort of potential release window that I'd read.
Well, that's the I read, but I think I've then read another one now saying it could be early 2024. So, but you wouldn't expect that because obviously you've got Christmas coming up. You've got the Christmas games that are going to come up. So I can't see how they would bring it out early 2024. So no, I think it would be not for this Christmas, but they'll probably target next Christmas.
How do we feel about that? Like a new Nintendo console. I mean, go for it, Blair. So I'll get to my thoughts on it in a sec.
So when you look into it, it's running on 2016 hardware. So it's running in 2016. So that's a long time ago. For me personally, it does need that oomph to try and keep up with the likes of your PS5 and your Xboxes. Does it need it? Not really, but it's Easter. Okay, so say it would be Easter, but like you're looking at I'm just reading here, they're saying it would be an LCD display. That would be the one main thing is the internal memory that come with it is just pap, isn't it? So they're looking at 512 gigabytes with each one. They're saying that your accounts will transfer over instantly, which, to be fair, they should have been doing this for years. So you won't have the likes of like, oh wait, the Nintendo Wii U shop's just closing down and I'm losing all the games I've bought. Yeah, but and it says here that the Ubisoft CEO has hinted at the existence of it while discussing sales for the Switch Mario & Rabbids sequel. So it's slated. It says it's slated for early 2024. So I feel it needs something because because of the hardware it's still running on. I think it's now the sale numbers have just come out and it's just under 130. So it's in that gap. So the new sale units have come out. So it is still selling really well. So Nintendo are in that part. Do we need to fuck up the system when we're nearly catching the DS, or do we now upgrade? That was why I think they won't change the name, or will they bring it under the whole? Oh, we're still going to call it a Switch umbrella. This will be like the new, like they could say, like the Switch Pro. So it's one of them.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because Nintendo have got a really good track history with making consoles and games that people fall in love with. But they also have a history of really missing the mark with their systems. So, the GameCube, as wonderful as it is and as brilliant as all of us remember, it wasn't a PS2 and it wasn't an Xbox. the Wii U was just a complete disaster. And
it's a great console though.
It's
It is
amazing.
actually really good. I really like the Wii U, but I think they failed on marketing. People didn't know what it was.
No.
They thought it was a new controller, not a new console.
Yes.
So
yeah, and I think calling it a Wii U was a bad idea because people thought, oh, well, I've already got a Wii, I don't need a Wii U. So I think if they're bringing out a new, I mean, this is essentially going to be their new console, right? That the Switch came out, did you say 2016, Blunders? Yeah.
So 2016.
So it's quite old already, I guess.
So.
The life cycle of a console used to be 6 years, but and you could never wait for that new console, could you? You just couldn't wait for the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64. You just couldn't wait. But
it doesn't feel like the Switch is that old. But if that's what it came out,
really doesn't.
It doesn't feel like an older console. Like I'm not there going, oh, when's the next? I don't feel like I'm waiting for a Nintendo console to come out. And the Switch is a very good console. Obviously, it's offering something different to the PS5, the Xbox, but it's the fact that it's a handheld as well. I think it's really, and the thing that Nintendo have over all the other console releases is they've got their own IPs. They've got your Mario's, your Pokemon games, your Zelda games. Like no one else is releasing those games. They've got so many exclusives. So that's the thing they're going to get people in on. If they bring out a new console and the new console comes with a new Mario Kart, a new Super Smash Brothers, a new Zelda, you're going to jump on that. I think
it's true.
Whatever it is, I think. But what would you want it to be? Would you want a Switch 2, or would you want something completely different?
I don't think we've achieved everything that we need from the Switch yet. We've only just stopped making 3DSs. There is a handheld market, and Nintendo always fill it. They always fill it, whether you've got the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP, DS, 3DS. Nintendo are almost synonymous with handheld devices, and eliminating a handheld device now, I think, would be, not a good idea. So I guess in a weird way, yes, I would want just a new beefed up Switch. But then you're going to want to shift those units, aren't you? If you're doing it because you need, you want to keep up with current tech, you want to be able to compete with the PS5 and the Series X, then I personally would just bring out a new console. Just put all your eggs in one basket, new console, and maybe think about a new handheld. Or keep the Switch going, but just discontinue the Switch and make Switch Lights, and have like a fourth revision, have a Switch Lite OLED where it's just a handheld OLED screen. You can't dock it or anything like that. So that could still be your handheld market, because you could just keep re-releasing Wii U games. You could keep making the odd, first party Switch game. There's loads of games probably on PS3 as well that just would love to be rebranded and remarketed, that people would lap up and just go for broke on a totally new system.
What I think would absolutely kill it is if they could come out with something akin to, I know there is Nintendo Online, but it feels like the library is very limited. If they could bring out a console that came with a library of all their old systems, if you could get a library of Wii games, Wii U games, if they could get something that could run all those games, I think that would be a huge selling point. If you could just jump on, pay a monthly fee, and pay a back catalogue of Wii and Wii U.
I think that's what they're kind of trying to do at the minute, because they're slowly introducing. They've just introduced Game Boy Advance. They charge peanuts for it compared to the others because it isn't on their level. But I think Nate's here. It'll be hard to go back to a stationary Nintendo console because, like you said, they have spoiled us. But when you've got something, and where have I got it to hand? But when you've got something like the Steam Deck, which is a beast and as powerful, why are we not? I personally, I don't think they're ready to change the name of it yet because of how well it's going and how well like you're saying, like bringing out a whole new console. I think it will still have that Switch name in there because it, like you said, like they tried doing it with the Wii U, but they didn't promote it properly enough. But like you're saying, this is Nintendo. They do what the fuck they want. They'll just bring out something completely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're all saying this for all we know.
Yeah.
It's something completely random. When you
That's
look
it.
at the
Like,
jump
they do.
to the Wii with the Wii remote, that's just night and day from the GameCube, isn't it?
The thing is, if you look at everything they've done, there's been a few flops that things have not gone their way, but they've had other stuff that's absolutely smashed it. So it feels like they've got the freedom to experiment a little bit and take risks. Like they'll take a punt on something and it won't work out, and then the next thing they do like smashes it out of the park. So, like you mentioned, the GameCube. Like GameCube sales were not as good as PlayStation or N64, but didn't they actually make more money because they were so cheap to make? Like the GameCube was so cheap to make, they actually made a bigger profit than the others combined, even though their sales numbers weren't as good because
it's possible.
They've made a lot of money on that. And then things like the Virtual Boy, Wii U, some of those things flopped. But then they bring out something like Pokemon Go, which made like millions in the first weekend. So I think, I'm always interested to see what Nintendo do because they always do something a bit different. It feels like they're the alternative, not the competition.
Yes.
And I'll always be on board with Nintendo stuff, I think, because they've delivered the goods enough that I've got high expectations what they do next. Personally, I prefer something new, not a Switch 2. But if I get a Switch 2, I'm sure that'd be good. But one thing I really like is something that's got a good light gun solution. They could have something where you can play a good like the Wii and Switch can actually do it. I think there's a handful of like on-rail shooters on the Wii, which are great. Like it has like the House of the Dead stuff. I just don't feel there's enough. I feel there's a market that could do a heck of a lot more. Like arcade shooters, I'd like to see a lot more of that. You never know; they might delve into the VR options as well. Will we get a VR option from Nintendo? Because it doesn't look like Microsoft really.
Oh, you've got it with Nintendo. It's Labo, haven't you? That VR Labo, and you can
do Mario. You do. Yeah,
you can do Mario Kart, but I obviously never played it. Don't really know what the deal is, but
will they delve into VR? It feels like a bit of a late point to be jumping in on VR, so perhaps not.
I just think you can't at this point. Like PlayStation VR and Oculus, it's like there's just no point for me. I don't think doing something different, like Microsoft's augmented reality thing that was meant to come out, was it Xbox Glass or something? That looked incredible, and just where is it? Like, is it a thing? I don't know. Like, if it is, then it's the best kept secret I've ever seen. But maybe augmented reality would be kind of cool because Nintendo did that with the 3DS and that worked really well.
They could do something. I do agree that the VR
HoloLens, that was
market is I do agree that it's a bit late to be there. And the thing as well with VR stuff at this point, it needs to be very high spec to compete. And I think Nintendo tend to go for like lower spec and a more affordable price point. I don't think if they brought out like an affordable VR headset, it would actually do that well. I think people that are interested in VR are happy to pay a higher price point to get good quality.
Agree. Yep.
So I don't think that's the route. Okay.
Yep. And I kind of agree with what Nate's saying there about Nintendo always being a secondary console to Xbox, PC, PS. I wouldn't necessarily call it secondary. It's just, I think, like Tim said or Blunner said, it's the alternative. You've always got your Xbox and your PlayStations competing for your money, and then you've just got like Nintendo that just kind of, Nintendo is like the Keanu Reeves of the Hollywood world. It just manages to weave its way through the universe, still keeps going. It's still really cool. It's still very well thought of. It just doesn't get involved in the bullshit quite so much. It has its own bullshit, but
it feels like each generation, you're like, oh, do I get an Xbox or a PlayStation? It's not like, do I get an Xbox, PlayStation, or a Nintendo? Because you tend to get like an Xbox or a PlayStation and the Nintendo. So Nintendo still seems to like get in there.
Yeah, I know most people have either got a PlayStation and a Switch or an Xbox and a Switch, or you have all three. But ultimately, I completely agree with that, Tim. Totally. So Switch 2 rumors. So there is definitely something which is going to be appearing, I think, as Mag says, in Easter. So Easter will be the time to be keeping our ears more to the ground for some more rumor mills at the time. So we'll have to see how that develops, I think. So moving on to the next topic, which of course is Dorbs' absolute favorite topic of all time, and that is Final Fantasy XIV is coming to the Xbox Series. This was a fairly big deal. I think it is a fairly big deal for Xbox owners. Final Fantasy XIV, for anyone that doesn't know, is the Final Fantasy MMO. It is incredibly well thought of. It's incredibly well made. It had a rocky start. They took all the criticism on board, effectively rebranded, redid the game, and it is now pretty up there. I know my son plays it. I'm not particularly big into MMOs, so this is one of those Final Fantasy games that I have not dived into. Anything that requires a monthly subscription on top of buying the game and on top of buying the console or whatever it is, kind of is a thorn in my side a little bit. But this is something that I think Xbox fans have kind of been wanting. It suits the Xbox brand, I think, because Xbox is just synonymous with great online play. So to have an MMO like this on the Xbox, I think is going to be a really good move. Phil Spencer and the Final Fantasy team at Square Enix did like a really big thing about it as well. There was a big announcement saying that they've, repaired all the bridges and done all the stuff they needed to do to get the deal done. And this is the first of many games that they're going to be collaborating on, which I thought, interesting. Is this a mend between Xbox and Final Fantasy? Because for a long time now, I think the big Final Fantasy hitting games are not on Xbox, and maybe we'll start seeing them. Maybe when the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, maybe we'll see Final Fantasy VII Integrate hit Xbox. It'd be interesting. Square Enix would be silly to not, because it's more revenue. So, and that's only going to mean more Final Fantasy games. I'm all on board for that. But yeah, interesting that Final Fantasy seems to have mended its bridges with Xbox, and it will be coming. I don't know if either of you have played Final Fantasy XIV.
No, I've got a friend who plays quite a bit. He speaks highly of it. I've never really been an MMO guy, to be honest. I never got into it. The only ones I've really done is Destiny, which I think any MMO fans have said, like, Destiny's not a true MMO, or it's kind of marketed that way. It's more of a shoot and loot kind of co-op game. But I'm going to get quite into it. It's a shame it was lacking a bit in content, because after a while you'd kind of done everything. And then I played a bit of Elder Scrolls Online, which was a good idea. I feel like it was poorly executed. I feel like it didn't really work. It felt like you were playing a single player campaign game, but with a bunch of mates running around the map with you. And it kind of, I think there's a bit where, like, if you talk to a character and you went to do like a cutscene and instigate a quest, it didn't instigate it for everyone in your party. Everyone had to go and speak to their NPC and do that part of the story to move on to the next bit. And I went on there once. I don't know how big our party was, but it was like herding cats. I was like, has everyone spoken to the old lady outside the watermill? Like, no, I haven't. I was like, why are you on a different island? Get back on this boat and go over here. And it's just, no, it just didn't work out at all. We're just everyone was just running around all over the place. I was like, this is not working well. So yeah, I've never really been into MMOs, but yeah, it intrigued me. There's actually an MMO on Oculus, or it's on Steam VR at least. I can't remember what it's called now. I haven't started it yet, but it's like a full MMO game in VR, which I'm intrigued by. So that's on my to play list. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I think I've played pretty much all of them. I've not played. Is it 15? The one this is like the bunch of guys in the car.
Yeah, 15's great.
Yeah, so I've not played 15 yet. I need to go back and play that. And actually, that's on my library, so I have got it. I just need to decide to play that. Yeah, intrigues me to try 16, and if it's on Xbox, maybe I'll make it easier for me to jump on.
Yeah, I think as Max says there, 16 turns up on Xbox next year. They said that about the remake, though. They said Final Fantasy VII Remake was a timed exclusive originally, and then it became console exclusive. So I think this bridge will, almost indefinitely mean that 16 will come out next year at some point on Xbox. Like I say, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So it's better that more people do. Oh dear, what's Tim seen?
So it's just lots of Jules' comment. So he might play 15 and drive off a cliff.
Well, I did buy it for Dorbs for Christmas that year in his Secret Santa, And of all the Final
he
Fantasy
amazing?
games, I think that is the one that Dorbs could
He
play.
might actually like. Are the cutscenes skippable?
Yes.
Are the battles random, or do you see things that you can find?
No. You see them.
Okay.
You
See them.
decide.
And is
I
it
still want to
is it
see Dorb's live play.
Is it turn-based combat? Is it turn-based combat, or is there another battle system?
No, it's very much like the Final Fantasy VII remake battle, where you kind of
that might pass the Dorbs test. Then you never know. Although I think, out of principle, I don't think Dorbs would want to like a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
So I think just based on principle, I only played 2. And then, maybe if he's willing to give it a try, but I think he's committed to hating the franchise. So I don't know if he's willing to even. But hey, I played how many FIFA games did I play because of Dorbs and Secret Santa present?
This is true.
I think there was like 7 or 8 of them. I don't know. It was but I played each one of those. Arguably, I only had one match in each one, but I still played through them. I mean, they're sitting proudly in my loft at the moment.
That one sounds intriguing, though. The comment we just put up there from Mag, it's not necessarily Final Fantasy related, but interesting.
Because let me show you the first one.
Yeah.
Where is it?
What's going to be free on Game Pass? Piqued my interest. The Final Fantasy is going to be free.
No, Goldtooth said that he would put.
Make
he would
Xbox,
just put
make Call of Duty on Xbox only.
Call of Duty.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? That this whole.
If I was Microsoft, I'd make him.
I mean, let's run off on this tangent. Let's run off on the tangent. The whole Xbox buying out Bethesda, buying out all these fucking huge studios and wanting to do the Blizzard Activision deal. It's ultimately it doesn't really fucking matter. But as a console gamer, I do think it gives huge unfair advantage to a particular system when they can just throw money at something and just monopolize it. When you look at Sony and Microsoft as two companies, I mean, they're multi-billion-dollar companies, multi-billion-pound companies, both of them are. But I'd imagine if you look at the turnover of Microsoft versus the turnover of Sony, it's probably a very, very different market. I personally,
COD is such a titan as this. You've got these things where you do have a lot of people where their go-to games are FIFA and COD, and they might not even play anything else. Those games, I've not really ever been a Call of Duty fan at all. I think I've maybe played one, but I've just never been into it. It's just not my thing. But it's hugely popular. So many people play COD, and it always does well. So
units, but will it shift units? Get that 23 up to 40.
Do you know? I think it would. I think it would shift some units initially, but the longevity of it. Ultimately, in some way, I kind of wish Microsoft would make Call of Duty Xbox exclusive because it just takes it out of the PlayStation library. I'm not a fan of COD at all, particularly. The people that are good at it, and people that stream it, it's fun to watch. I really enjoy watching Gem stream it, mainly because her commentary is hilarious and it's genuinely funny. But COD as a game for me has never been a big hitter for me. Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, so COD 4, probably the best shooter. But the thing that's missed, what this is giving them, it's the thing that stinks with that deal isn't COD. It's access to everything else that they get and the revenue that pulls in, and then that does create this self-generating money monopoly over other things. So I don't know.
I don't mind COD. I've played it. I've played it. I've got most of them. My son was playing the latest one, which is kind of like gone a bit like, well, the one that's gone like free to play that you just in your battle arena. It's not too bad, but it's more of a jump on with a couple of mates for a spare hour and a half. It's not something you'd learn a longevity game.
No. And I've said this. Yeah,
interested in cons with chips.
completely agree, Mag. Completely agree. The thing that, I mean, we will move on to another topic very quickly because I can see we're edging into that 50-minute territory. But a lot of these deals that Microsoft are doing at the moment, it really feels like they are trying to buy some exclusivity for something because they don't have. If you take Halo and Forza away, they do not have a massive first-party game title that people go absolutely ballistic for, and they also don't have any new big IPs either. They don't have new big IPs. Whereas if you look at PlayStation,
the big draws for me were like Gears of War and Halo.
Yep.
And like the most recent Gears games, the most recent Halo games haven't been great.
But they're also legacy. That's legacy games. Whereas you look at Sony, we've got, when Horizon Zero Dawn hit, it was like, wow, this is a good game. This is a brand new IP. It looks great. It plays great. The story's top tier. Okay, we've got a new franchise. And then the same thing on PS3. We got Last of Us. All right, there's been about 5 iterations of Last of Us, but we got Last of Us, which is a brand new IP. Just looking over at my PlayStation stuff now. Again, I know it's Dorbs' favorite, but we've got Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a huge success. You know, that's going to be a brand spanking new IP. Spider-Man game, that was PS4. Yeah. That's going to be a brand new IP. So that's, and these are all new ones. That's not including, and that's not including things like legacy ones like Ratchet and Clank, the Gran Turismo series. You know, all these games that are synonymous with PlayStation. Xbox doesn't have that anymore. Certainly the new ones, and it feels that's what these company buyouts to me feel. It feels very much like they want exclusivity of something, and you know, maybe they should just go. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's just make Elder Scrolls, Doom, everything like that. Let's just make it all Xbox only, and then you've got to make a choice. Yeah, then you have to make a choice because ultimately Bethesda is still going to get paid. But I think if Microsoft was to keep buying out studios, I think eventually you would get studios that would just kind of rebel because not everybody wants to be constrained by that Microsoft contract or that Sony contract, you know, to flip the coin. You know, some studios just want to make cool stuff and get it to everybody. But it's a topic that I think people will continue to talk about because it's this whole idea of, you know, exclusivity and Xbox versus PlayStation, when really does it matter? You know, if you really want to play Elder Scrolls that badly and it was an Xbox exclusive, you'd buy an Xbox. I know I will. It's just how it goes. You know, if I want to play Starfield, I'm going to need to buy an Xbox, so I'm going to buy an Xbox at some point. But for the people that pick a side, I can see why it's a big deal, and yeah, maybe an unfair one. Okie pokey. Let's jump on to our. Actually, I'll tell you what. Before Mag disappears, because he's going to disappear in a minute, because he's got his own stream in just a minute. Tomorrow night, myself, Tim, and Blunners, we will be over on Mag's Middle-Aged Gamer Guy Twitch channel. If you aren't over there already, or you're living under a rock or something, like, head on over to Twitch. Go give Mag a follow, give him a subscribe if you want to be really generous and happy. We will be joining him and his co-host on the Tuesday night gaming chat. Dead excited. Really can't wait for that. It's really lovely to be asked onto another person's stream. So yeah, we're really excited for this. Kickoff, I believe, is 9 o'clock, and it's going to be a long one. So head on over to the Middle-Aged Gamer Guy. Head on over to Mag's Twitch channel. Give him a cheeky follow, give him a subscribe. It's going to be good fun. It's going to be good fun. Can't wait. So, yes, do head on over. Thank you, Mag. No, thank you so much for having us. We're really looking forward to it. Okay, so last topic of the evening is still on the Final Fantasy topic. Pikmin 4 outsells Final Fantasy 16 in a week. In Japan only. I'm just going to add that, in Japan only. And I have a couple of theories around why, but yeah. So Blunders, you've blasted Pikmin 4. So
yeah, it's like it's definitely a quirky Japanesey type of game, and I know like kind of like your Splatoon vibe, like what I mean, it's that kind of. I think it's something they would love. It's done. What was it? It's done 400. Is it you? Just under half a mil in a week.
Yes, under half a million.
Under half a million. So yeah, so it's but obviously it has done really well, and I hope I've got all the others, and it has outsold all the other games like single-handedly. So I remember just taking a punt on it back on the GameCube days and got into it and really enjoyed it. So I knew it was going to be quite good. But yeah, so I mainly think it's because of how many units are out there, and do you know what I mean? It's easy for people just to buy, and it's not as expensive as well. It's only like a 35. I think I got mine for about £38, so it's not as expensive either. So and it's a first party Nintendo game, so
it's going to be of the standard, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got that Nintendo standard. For anyone that hasn't or isn't sort of in tune with Final Fantasy 16, this Final Fantasy game is the first time, I believe, it has been designed with a Western audio, and then they've dubbed the Japanese audio over the top. Normally it's the other way around. Normally they record it with a Western audio and they animate it animate it with the Japanese audio and record it with the Japanese audio. But this time they've gone all in on the Western market. And it kind of tells when you see the characters speak, especially some of the actors. I'm going to look up the actor now because his name evades me. He was in The Office. Oh, for God's sake, it's just giving me his. Okay, Ralph Ineson, Ineson. He played Finchy in The Office. And his voice is so good in this game. It's so good. He's got a great voice anyway. But yeah, it really feels like it's geared towards the West. You can still play it obviously with Japanese audio, and then you can add the English subtitles. But yeah, it's a very Western game. It feels it when you play it, and maybe that's reflected now in the sales market. This Blunder's chuckling away there.
That's what dwarves put. That's why. That's off
Wild
the
West.
Office.
It's interesting. It's interesting because Final Fantasy is a big behemoth, and in 1 week in Japan, Pikmin 4 has outsold it. I'd be interested to see maybe the next time we do mod cons in 4 weeks, we'll maybe have a look at what Pikmin 4 has done in total versus what in its time, and then we'll look at how many sales Final Fantasy had made at that point and see what's what. No problem, Skulltooth. Lovely to see you, my friend. Yeah, and we'll see what the difference is, because yeah, a lot of these games are doing well in Japan. So interesting, and I do really want to pick up Pikmin 4 because it's been a long time since I've played Pikmin. It'd be really good fun to get back into that. Oh, he's got his Finchy quotes in there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that British Office, man, that's something special. Absolutely something special. So there we have it. I believe that is everything we wanted to get covered this evening. If anybody had anything else random they wanted to ask in the chat or contribute to, please feel free to throw it in now before we get to our summing up and closing down of where we're at. But yeah, there's always a lot of gaming news, and it's hard to try and pick and choose what's kind of worth bringing out to talk about. But there's always something going on. I think maybe the last things that we'll cover will be this month's PS Plus games. So August's PS Plus games in the Essentials collection, which is your standard $5.99 or $6.99, whatever it is, a month if you want to pay that, or the yearly fee, is the PGA 2K23, so the new Tiger Woods game. Dreams will be a PS4 game, and then we've got something called Death's Door, which looks to be a indie title. It says experience a somber yet darkly comedic tale utilizing melee weapons, arrows, and magic to overcome a fantastic array of beasts and demigods. So that could be kind of cool. I do like a little indie title. The Tiger Woods game, I'm sure, will speak to a lot of people. It doesn't speak to me. Dreams. I never got into Dreams. I don't know if anybody else has played it, but it definitely wasn't something that spoke to me at the time. But because it's free, I might give it a go now.
And it's VR as well, so I'm always intrigued by VR titles, so I'll definitely give it a shout. Actually, I'm not a huge sports games fan, but golf games are normally pretty good. I do like Tiger Woods.
No, Tiger Woods.
And actually, that's the newest as well. And actually, the cost. I saw the price. If you want to justify the cost of PlayStation Plus, that one game alone is worth more than a year's subscription of Plus just for Tiger Woods. So it's a no-brainer for me. Always going to keep that going. But no, the last thing is, though, the only thing with Tiger Woods is I really, really enjoyed Tiger Woods on the Wii, because you would swing the golf club with the Wii wand. And that's the best way to play a golf game. But going back to using a joypad and analog stick don't know if I'll enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, I will take you up on that. Where you go, some VR mini golf. Sounds excellent. Yeah, golf's a motion game. You can't sit on your sofa and play golf with a controller.
Well, maybe the three of us need to download Tiger Woods or whatever the thing is, 2K23, and see if we can do. Can you do multiplayer on it? That could be.
You must be. I mean, I've not played a Tiger Woods game in years. I think to play a lot. I guess it was like Tiger Woods 2007, something like that. And I played it loads. The good thing about that is back when it was all online, you could connect. Like if there was actually a golf game or tournament going on in real time, you could play alongside the professionals, and you would have their scores that they were actually achieving in the event. And you could also set the weather conditions of the courses you played to the weather channel. So if you played at like Pebble Beach, it would do the weather and wind and rain stuff settings to whatever the weather was actually like in that real world location. And this is back on like the Wii. I was like, that's really clever, intuitive thing to do. So to jump back in go from 2007 to 23, I'm sure they've got some really cool features. So I'm interested to see what they're doing with it now. Because I've not jumped back into Tiger Woods for years.
Excellent.
Maybe we should all play it, and then we should all say next time.
I agree.
Who wins a round? Let's do a few rounds of golf and see who wins.
I could be into that.
We can all talk about it.
No, it sounds good to me.
And then just because it's still there, Games with Gold, your 2 free games on that are Blue Fire, which again is an indie title. Evil forces have taken over the world of Penumbra, and they need a warrior of light and darkness. Could be cool. No idea. Probably won't play it. And the other one was Initial Drift. Now, I initially thought, is this an Initial D game? Initial D, for all you anime lovers out there, will know exactly what that is. But that is a anime where kids just drift cars. It's fucking cool. It's not an Initial D game, so missed opportunity. But it is basically just a drifting game. Drift through 90s retro future in this arcade racing game that leverages a unique handling mode and twin stick drift mechanic. I'm presuming that's going to be like a twin stick shooter, but you're drifting cars with it. Sounds complicated, but could be worth a go. But in terms of your value, they still like to try and sell that on the Xbox homepage of £39 worth of games.
Wow.
No, it's not going to happen.
Is it really? Yeah.
Probably not. Maybe if you bought it just directly from Xbox Arcade, maybe, because everything on there is expensive.
I said this before. I do remember the days when actually Xbox Games with Gold was decent. But now you compare them each time we cover it, it's like they've just given us Tiger Woods 2023 for free, as opposed to like an indie title racing game. It's like if you were going to pick one or the other, PlayStation seems to beat every month, I think. I can't remember. In fact, in the history of ModCons, have we ever gone, oh, the Xbox One sound better this month?
No.
I don't think we ever have. So
No, we have not.
I think Xbox is Games with Gold is on the way out now, isn't it? They're going to try and do like a lower tier Game Pass instead, which I think is a good move. I think
it's a very good move. It is the
Games with Gold needs to die.
I couldn't agree more. And one day, in fact, I'll tell you what. Just before we go, let's get this. Let's see. We have no power in the world whatsoever because we are simply us with no real clout. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Yes, no, not that one. About this one. Hashtag
Games of Gold.
Okay, so let's see if we can get this moving. Kabam! Ready? Games with Gold needs to die.
What if I start?
There we go. So there we go. Like you say, Tim, fixate on Game Pass. It's an absolute bargain. Yeah. It works well. Games with Gold needs to die. But they've got to justify something, haven't they? Because they charge you that little piddly $6.99 a month, $6.99 a month, or $7.99 a month, or 40 quid a year, whatever the fuck it is now. So they've got to give you something for that because PlayStation do, and they've been doing that ever since they rebranded PS Live. So they need to give you something. But yeah, Games with Gold, it needs to die. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Hashtag. Let's get that running. I think that's a splendid one to leave it on, chaps. So Games with Gold needs to die. Thank you everyone in the chat for joining in. It's always wonderful to see your beautiful, lovely faces on this wonderful Monday evening. We will be back in 4 weeks' time. So yes, everyone, if you're watching this on a watch back, please subscribe if you haven't already. Helps us out a ton. Please give the video a little cheeky thumbs up, that we know you've been here as well, and that also helps us out, funnily enough. We will be live again very, very soon. I believe, is it next Monday? We will have the Total Evercade podcast, and we do have some old school RGR live interviews incoming. We have got a plethora of cool people coming, as I mentioned earlier. The one that we're going to be having probably next will be Tess from Tess Logically Blonde Gaming.
We do have Alex Hamilton from Gnome King Games next week on the 16th.
We do.
So come and tune in for that if you want to talk to an indie dev who has made a Game Boy game. I think I posted in the group this weekend, I think from yesterday, you can get a download copy of The Train for £1.
I mean, that's a bargain, right?
It's a bargain. So if you want to get down a copy of the game, it's £1, and then you can join us in the chat and chat to the creator next week.
Splendid. Yeah. So next week is that.
Download the game, play it a bit, and then bring your questions with you.
And then maybe the week after, I believe we'll be having Tess. Hopefully, I know Goldtooth's not in the chat anymore, but hopefully Goldtooth is going to come on that chat with us as well, because that's going to be good fun. And we have some others looming in the background that we are working on. So watch this space. Lots of good stuff coming. Thank you all again for watching along with us live. And we will see you very, very soon. So good evening.